well, and that is radio. Radio signals travel at the speed of light. We could broadcast the Encyclopedia Britannica to the nearest star in a week with existing technology. We could communicate, if you wanted to do that. You could communicate to any star in the galaxy with the technology not much beyond our own. And therefore, the way to do this is for them, the smart guys, to send radio messages, and for us, the dumb guys, to listen.
Yeah.
And that's what we're doing. And it's so inexpensive.
But there's no sound coming through this.
No, not sound, radio.
Radio.
Yeah.
But they're not coming through. We haven't heard any bleeps.
Well, but we've just begun to listen.
In 1974, humanity sent its very first interstellar greeting from the Arecibo radio telescope, a meticulously crafted message encoded in the universal language of mathematics and science to what would become a mysterious echo decades later. In a remote wheat field near the Chilbolton Radio Observatory in Hampshire, England, an enigmatic crop formation appeared overnight, bearing uncanny similarities to the original Arecibo Message. This formation has sparked debates. Was it merely an elaborate hoax or a genuine response from beyond our world? Join us as we explore the technical marvels, historical curiosities, and intriguing theories surrounding both the original Arecibo Message and its puzzling reply near Chilbolton, inviting us to rethink the possibilities of interstellar dialogue. As Carl Sagan and Frank Drake sat together over lunch, the weight of their task was unmistakable. They were on the verge of sending humanity's very first message to the stars. The question loomed large. How could they possibly communicate with beings from another world? Creatures whose senses, culture, and understanding of the universe might be as alien as could be imagined. As Sagan carefully reviewed the draft of the message, he contemplated its profound implications. This was not merely an experiment or a scientific endeavor. It was a moment in history. The message needed to be simple yet profound, capable of transcending the vast expanse of space and time. But how could they distill the entirety of human knowledge into something that an alien civilization could universally understand? It had to be grounded in the most basic principles of mathematics, science, and biology, concepts as universal as the laws of physics themselves. They designed the message using the universal languages of mathematics and science. It was encoded in a grid of 23 columns and 73 rows. This precise format chosen because the total number of bits, 1,679, factors uniquely into these two primes. Transmitted in a 3-minute burst at 2,380 megahertz, the message was divided into 7 sections. It opened with a binary coding key that translated the numbers 1 through 10, then revealed the atomic numbers of 5 elements essential for life: hydrogen, carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, and phosphorus. Next, it depicted the molecular structure of DNA, featuring a graphic of the double helix that intriguingly encoded the number of nucleotides as 4.2 billion, a figure that would later spark debates about its accuracy. Sagan's mind raced as he considered the perspective of an alien. What might these beings know about the universe? What would they make of the forms of life that populated Earth? The way humans constructed their knowledge and measured the world around them? After all, this was not merely a message. It was humanity's grand introduction to the cosmos. It would set the tone for all that followed, perhaps for millennia to come. Frank, Sagan declared while tapping the draft with his finger, it is essential to remain mindful of how this will be perceived. It cannot be assumed that the recipients will understand human concepts of measurement or even binary language without first establishing a foundation. Their perspective must be considered. What would make sense to them? How can communication be rendered both direct and comprehensive? Drake, eager to finalize the message, listened intently. Countless hours had already been devoted to refining the technical aspects of the transmission, yet Sagan's input proved invaluable. His critiques were gentle but pointed, a slight adjustment here, a rewording there, with the primary goal it being clarity. The information needed to be accessible without oversimplification, conforming to the narrow constraints of a message destined to travel billions of miles, far beyond any immediate response. As the message was finalized, it was understood that it would be broadcast toward the stars in the direction of M13, a distant globular cluster of 300,000 stars in the constellation Hercules. M13 was not expected to receive the message immediately. In fact, the likelihood of an intelligent species being in position to receive it at the exact moment of transmission was practically non-existent. Nonetheless, the symbolic act of reaching out to the stars, of acknowledging that humanity is part of a larger, infinite universe, held profound significance. The Arecibo Radio Telescope in Puerto Rico has a storied history that begins in the early 1960s. Conceived and designed by William E. Gordon of Cornell University, the facility was built into a natural limestone sinkhole in Arecibo to serve as an ionospheric research tool, as well as a radio astronomy instrument. Its innovative design took full advantage of the unique topography, creating a fixed, spherical reflector paired with movable receivers. Initially, the telescope's radar transmitter operated at roughly 500 kilowatts. This power level was sufficient for early studies of Earth's upper atmosphere and for pioneering astronomical observations. However, as scientific ambitions grew, particularly the aspiration to send humanity's first interstellar message, the need for a more powerful transmitter became clear. In the years leading up to 1974, the facility underwent significant upgrades that boosted its transmitter output to approximately 1 megawatt. This increase was pivotal for the 1974 Arecibo Message, a 3-minute transmission that boldly projected a complex interstellar greeting composed in the universal languages of mathematics and science. The enhanced power ensured a stronger, more focused beam, making it one of the most powerful transmissions of its kind, and symbolizing humanity's reach into the cosmos during an era marked by both scientific exploration and geopolitical tension. Thus, from its inception under the guidance of William E. Gordon to its critical upgrade in 1974, the Arecibo Observatory not only advanced our understanding of radio astronomy, but also became a beacon of human ingenuity, bridging the gap between earthbound research and the vast unknown of space. On that fateful day, November 16, 1974, as the Arecibo Radio Telescope prepared to send the message, the air was thick with anticipation. The massive Puerto Rican telescope, having undergone significant upgrades, was poised to execute one of the most ambitious experiments in human history. Champagne was served, and Sagan delivered a brief speech emphasizing the importance of the moment. The assembled dignitaries remained quiet, their gazes fixed upon the towering antenna which stood ready to broadcast humanity's presence into the cosmos. Then the beeps and boops filled the air, the unmistakable sounds of the message being transmitted across space. A hush descended over the crowd, and many later described the moment as both somber and moving. It was not merely a transmission, it was a statement, a declaration of humanity's yearning to reach out, to communicate, and to understand the universe beyond Earth. Even as the message was sent, neither Sagan nor Drake could have foreseen how the world would eventually respond to the echoes of that distant call. It was a symbolic moment indeed, but also a profoundly significant one. This message, destined to travel for millions of years before potentially reaching its destination, carried the very essence of human curiosity, intellect, and the enduring hope that we are not alone in the universe. It was a moment that Sagan, with his characteristic reverence for the unknown, would always remember as a turning point in the search for extraterrestrial life, a moment that encapsulated both the grandeur and the humility of our species. The Arecibo transmission, in its raw form, formatted as a 23 by 73 grid, was a 3-minute burst of radio energy consisting of 1,679 bits, or 210 bytes, transmitted at a frequency of 2,380 megahertz. The message was frequency shifted, that is, modulated, at a rate of 10 bits per second to produce a series of ones and zeros. These 1,679 binary digits were intended to be arranged into a rectangle with 23 columns and 73 rows. These numbers were deliberately chosen because they are unique prime numbers and factors of 1,679, the total number of digits in the message. Any mathematically intelligent alien species that encountered Drake's message should, in theory, be able to configure it to reveal the intended picture. When correctly displayed, the message can be divided into 7 distinct sections, with the top section serving as a key to binary coding. The numbers 1 through 10 are translated into binary code, presumably enabling the receiving party to decode the numbering system used elsewhere in the message. Below that, binary coded atomic numbers represent 5 elements: hydrogen, carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, and phosphorus, essential for life as we know it. The very next line arranges these same 5 elements to represent the molecular formula of the key nucleotides in the DNA molecule: deoxyribose, adenine, thymine, phosphate, cytosine, and guanine. Following this, a depiction of a DNA molecule twists down the sides in the center of the pictograph. A bar in the center of the double helix provides a binary coded number for the total number of nucleotides in the DNA molecule, which textbooks of the time estimated at about 1 billion base pairs. Curiously, however, the number shown in the message is 4.2 billion. This discrepancy could either be a mistake on Sagan's part or a deliberate choice for reasons unknown, an oddity with significant implications for the Arecibo reply that will be discussed later. Below the DNA double helix, a stick figure of a human appears, with a height of 5 feet 10 inches, encoded in binary, alongside a human population estimate of 4.3 billion, the figure from 1974. Near the bottom, there is a representation of the solar system, with the third planet highlighted, for that is where we live. Also depicted is the radio telescope that sent the message, its dimensions, 1,000 feet, encoded in binary. The globular cluster toward which the message was directed lies 25,000 light-years away, meaning that, traveling at the speed of light, any reply would not be expected for twice that duration, that is, 50,000 years, assuming an immediate response. The Chilbolton Radio Telescope, located in Hampshire, England, carries a legacy that mirrors both the scientific ambition and the geopolitical tensions of its time. Originally constructed during the Cold War, the facility was built by the British Ministry of Defense. Its primary mission was to intercept and monitor Soviet satellite communications, a task that required a site with both strategic placement and robust technical capabilities. The Chilbolton installation was designed to operate in a highly secure environment, reflective of its intelligence-gathering roots. Following its military service, the telescope transitioned to a more peaceful role. Today, it is involved in weather research and radio astronomy, continuing to contribute to scientific understanding while maintaining vestiges of its Cold War heritage. This shift from military to scientific application is a common story among many such facilities, as advances in technology and changing geopolitical climates have allowed for repurposing of these once classified sites. From its origins as a vital component of Britain's Cold War defense strategy to its current role in meteorological and astronomical research, the Chilbolton Radio Telescope exemplifies how scientific tools can evolve alongside our understanding of the world. Its secure, strategically chosen location not only served national security interests in a time of global tension, but now also provides a unique backdrop for some of the modern era's most intriguing scientific mysteries. Now, here is where things get strange. On the morning of August 19th, 2001, a crop circle, more accurately a crop rectangle, appeared in the wheat field adjacent to the Chilbolton Radio Telescope, a facility owned and operated by the British military. At first glance, its design resembled that of an oriental rug, so much so that the initial crop circle enthusiasts dubbed it the Persian carpet. Even more peculiar, another crop glyph, this time depicting a face, had appeared in the same field just 5 days earlier, on August 14th, and yet another formation had been observed exactly 1 year prior, on August 14th, 2000. Unlike the bold visual motifs of the Persian carpet or the haunting visage that emerged days later, this earlier crop circle was a sophisticated mosaic of interlocking geometric patterns. At its center lay a striking emblem that many have interpreted as a schematic of an alien communication device, its radiating lines and concentric circles evoking the image of a transmitter designed for long-distance interstellar messaging. Furthermore, the impeccable precision of the lines and curves hints at a creation mechanism that goes beyond human capabilities. Researchers have compared its clarity and symmetry to the effects observed in Bruce De Palma's work on rotational forces and plant life. According to his studies, subtle yet directed rotational energies can induce highly organized patterns in crops, suggesting that the 2000 crop circle might have been produced by an advanced technology harnessing natural forces in ways we are only beginning to understand. A day or two after the appearance of the Persian carpet, Paul Vigay, a well-known crop circle researcher, inspected the formation from the air. Fully informed by recent advances in astronomy, Vigay immediately recognized striking similarities between this new crop glyph and the famous Arecibo transmission sent into space in 1974. Photographs were taken and closely examined, revealing stunning parallels right down to the 23 by 73 pixel grid that Sagan and Drake had used in the original transmission. Many elements of the original were faithfully reproduced, yet certain details were distinctly different. The binary numbering system from 1 through 10 was identical, as were the 7 elements identified as essential for life, but with one addition: silicon, atomic number 14. The most obvious change was that the stick figure human had been replaced with the classic big-headed gray alien familiar from Roswell-style depictions. The height of this alien figure, encoded in the flattened wheat, was only 3.5 feet. Moreover, the human population estimate, originally 4.3 billion, was altered to 12 billion. Silicon was now included among the basic elements for life, and the revised solar system depicted only 8 planets, with different planets highlighted as potentially supporting life. This crop glyph, mimicking the Arecibo transmission, is often referred to as the Arecibo Answer hoax, with many assuming it was merely an elaborate prank. At first glance, it might seem plausible that such a glyph, located near an English radio telescope, was simply someone's joke. After all, a reply was not expected for 50,000 years, and the alien figure appears almost as a caricature. Yet for many reasons, the view that the Arecibo reply is a hoax does not withstand careful scrutiny. Published photographs of the Arecibo reply crop glyph are often dismissively stamped with the bold label hoax. However, the more one studies this mysterious glyph in detail, the more difficult it becomes to dismiss it as such. The first issue is its sudden appearance within 200 feet of the Chilbolton Radio Observatory in Hampshire, England, a sensitive military installation equipped with a security force and cameras. Originally built by the British Ministry of Defense during the Cold War for eavesdropping on Soviet satellite communications, the site is now used for weather research, though its original purpose cannot be ignored. Veteran crop circle researcher Colin Andrews interviewed Darcy Ladd, the manager of the Chilbolton Radio Observatory, who stated that their security team had observed no activity in the field prior to the appearance of the Arecibo reply glyph. Ladd further noted that their security cameras, although not equipped with night vision, captured no unusual activity, and any artificial lighting would have been detected. The glyph appeared overnight, perfectly encoded and without visible mistakes, an achievement that seems nearly impossible for even the most highly organized team to execute in total darkness without being detected. James Deerdorf, senior scientist at the National Center for Atmospheric Research, pointed out that the Arecibo reply crop glyph contained over 800 right angles, all perfectly executed. Creating such precise binary coding in a crop in a single night and without any visible evidence of pedestrian or vehicle entry defies conventional explanation. No individual or group has claimed responsibility or demonstrated the ability to replicate such work, making the mystery of the Arecibo reply glyph all the more compelling. And I say a version of the message because the graphic Sagan used in his book was not an exact reproduction of the Arecibo message sent into space. In fact, almost all published versions of the original message are technically incorrect. They are mirror images of the message that was actually transmitted. It is a little-known fact that Sagan probably misrepresented the message on purpose whenever he published it. He also misstated, likely deliberately, a few key details, most notably the number of base pairs in the human genome. This discrepancy becomes far more significant than it might initially seem, because the Arecibo reply, regardless of who generated it, was based on the mirror image that appeared in Sagan's book, not the original message sent into space. In other words, the Arecibo reply was based on the version of the message published on Earth, rather than the message that was actually transmitted. Furthermore, Sagan employed a binary encoded number in the range of 3.2 billion to describe the number of base pairs in the human genome. When questioned about this, Drake explained that they had derived the number from textbooks of that era. However, in 1974, the best estimate for the number of base pairs, as provided by Watson and Crick, the pioneers of DNA research, was about 1 billion. It was not until much later, in the mid-2000s, that the estimate was revised upward to about 3.2 billion, a figure that continues to be refined. Yet Sagan repeatedly used this revised figure in his publications about the Arecibo message, which raises an intriguing question. How could he have known something that no other molecular biologist seemed to know at that time? Richard Hoagland, a contemporary of Sagan and one of the most prolific researchers of crop glyphs and the Arecibo reply, has suggested that Sagan led a double life. His professional expertise highly valued in military and intelligence circles. Hoagland even speculates that Sagan might have obtained his remarkably accurate estimate of the human genome's base pairs from secret research involving alien cadavers recovered from the Roswell crash site. Naturally, this suggestion is highly controversial among those who dismiss the Roswell incident. However, the key point remains. Sagan had access to information about the human genome that no one else did, and he repeated it multiple times in his work. This was no simple typographical error. Hoagland posits that Sagan may even have been subtly conveying information that he could not fully reveal to the public at the time. But how could Sagan have obtained such detailed knowledge of the human genome, and possibly even alien DNA, from the Roswell crash site? Sagan never provided an answer. However, Hoagland, drawing on his personal interactions with Sagan, suggests that Sagan was in possession of a closely guarded piece of information, that alien DNA bore striking similarities to human DNA, or perhaps was even identical in some respects. Richard Hoagland believes it's possible, citing Sagan's role as an advisor to top scientists, military officials, and even presidents. According to Hoagland, this position made Sagan uniquely capable of conveying sensitive knowledge without arousing suspicion. Known for his measured and cautious approach to public statements, Sagan often qualified his remarks when discussing speculative topics, a stark contrast to Frank Drake's exaggerated certainty when declaring how extraterrestrials would behave upon arriving on Earth. This difference was particularly evident during an interview in which Drake confidently asserted that if aliens had indeed made contact, they would know better than to communicate with humans in such a ridiculous manner. Sagan's thoughtful restraint in such matters only adds to speculation that his careful words may have carried deeper meaning. Frank Drake's contributions to astronomy have been widely recognized for their significance and impact. His skepticism regarding the Arecibo reply has been considered justified by some. However, his certainty about extraterrestrial behavior has been subject to debate. For instance, his dismissal of the crop glyph as implausible overlooks the creativity and possible intent behind the communication method, especially given its placement in a field near an operational radio telescope. There are practical considerations for this location, including restricted access to the facility and the potential risk of trespassing charges. Given these factors, the expectation that extraterrestrial visitors would approach a high-security site directly may be viewed as unrealistic, particularly in light of possible military responses. The idea of extraterrestrial government interactions, whether during the Roswell incident or the alleged 1954 meeting between Eisenhower and the Greys at Edwards Air Force Base, adds an important context to this discussion. These events were shrouded in secrecy, with direct alien contact kept hidden from the public. In contrast, crop circles are visible and open to investigation, offering an alternative means of communication. Southern England's unique geology, coupled with the presence of dedicated researchers, makes it a prime location for such phenomena. While the extraterrestrial origin theory remains dominant, some suggest that crop circles may in fact stem from secret, hyperdimensional military technology, yet public displays of such technology near government facilities seem inconsistent with military discretion. Drake's dismissal of the Arecibo reply's DNA structure as clearly wrong overlooks key aspects, such as the accurate depiction of silicon, which has since been shown to play a crucial role in life forms. This, in turn, validates the reply's content. Sagan's inclusion of an unknown genome base pair count further challenges the view that the Arecibo reply was a hoax, while the glyph's depiction of an alien communication device, seen again in 2000 near the Chilbolton telescope, adds to its credibility. Moreover, physicist Bruce De Palma's work on rotational forces affecting plant life lends scientific support to the technology suggested by these crop circles use. To dismiss the Arecibo reply as a hoax is to overlook this compelling evidence and the thoughtful analysis that supports its authenticity. The appearance of the Arecibo reply near the Chilbolton Radio Observatory, a secure military installation with vigilant surveillance, complicates any theory of terrestrial hoaxing. Darcy Ladd, the observatory manager, confirmed that no unusual activity was recorded on the security cameras, even though they were not equipped with night vision. Moreover, the formation's precision, over 800 perfectly executed right angles, suggests a technical mastery that defies conventional explanation under such constrained conditions. Adding further intrigue are the discrepancies found in the published versions of the Arecibo Message itself. The graphic reproduced in Carl Sagan's book, for instance, is a mirror image of the actual transmission, and key details, such as the number of base pairs in the human genome, were altered. In 1974, the best scientific estimates placed the human genome at roughly 1 billion base pairs, yet Sagan's version used a figure of about 3.2 billion, a number that did not gain widespread acceptance until decades later. Researchers like Richard Hoagland have speculated that Sagan's precise information might have come from classified military or intelligence sources, perhaps even linked to the enigmatic Roswell incident. While these theories are controversial, they add another layer of mystery to an already perplexing dialogue. Beyond the technical and historical details, the cultural and philosophical implications of these communications resonate deeply. The Arecibo Message, the Pioneer Plaques, and the Voyager Golden Record are all testaments to humanity's enduring desire to reach out and connect. They embody our hope that somewhere in the vast cosmos, another civilization might understand our language of mathematics and science. The Arecibo reply, with its subtle modifications and extraordinary precision, appears to be part of this grand dialogue, a response that challenges us to reconsider our assumptions about human ingenuity and the possibility of advanced extraterrestrial life. Speculation naturally arises about the technologies that might enable such communication. Could the creators of the Arecibo reply possess methods to transcend the speed of light barrier, bending space and time to deliver their message? While these ideas stretch the limits of our current understanding of physics, they resonate with a broader body of evidence, from UFO sightings to abduction reports, that suggests our universe may be far more interconnected than we have ever imagined. Conclusion. The story of the Arecibo reply is a mix of human aspiration, scientific inquiry, and the tantalizing possibility of extraterrestrial contact. It stands as both a technical marvel and a profound enigma, a response that mirrors the precision of the original Arecibo message while introducing its own cryptic variations. With recurring symbols, the improbability of human fabrication under tight security, and hints of advanced technology capable of bending space and time, the Arecibo reply challenges us to ask, are we truly alone in the universe, or have we been part of an interstellar dialogue all along?
It is conceivable that a spherical ship will land in front of the Washington Monument, and a figure with 4 antennas and otherwise looking like the professional football player will walk out and demand to see our leader. I hope very much that the universe of circumstance is wider than the rather shoddy imaginations of science fiction writers for 30 or 40 years.